Good morning, everybody. You tuned into Cragcore. Thank you for tuning in today. So, it's been a while since I posted a video. Stuff's just been kicking off, and you know how it is, man. Sometimes you just got to lay low and just take it in and recalibrate, because there has been a bit of a shift in the... and shift is the opportune word at the minute, considering what we're going to be talking about in a minute. But there has been a shift in the narrative, hasn't there? We're now talking about war. You know, we're now talking about war, and we're no longer talking about viruses. This seems extremely strange to me, because surely I mean, don't get me wrong, I understand that, you know, the virus of the time, shall we say, was starting to dissipate, you know, well, at least the threat of it was starting to dissipate, because this is what happens. They get weaker as they get, you know, older, as they go on. As the process of mutation happens, they naturally get less and less severe. This is what happens. This is the actual true science. Now, we knew that eventually it was just going to come to an end. Now, there's been no acknowledgement of this, though. It just seems to have been a shift in the narrative. Now, this, in my opinion, is very, very dangerous, because all of the measures, the emergency measures that were brought in off the backs of this apparent fucking virus, sorry, this apparent new virus, they've not gone away. They've not kind of, these fucking oligarchs, these powers that desire to fucking control the world, they've not come out and acknowledged any of this. They've not acknowledged any of the evidence that proves that everything they brought in was based on lies and over-exaggerated fucking, you know, numbers and over-exaggerated evidence, you know, quote unquote. They're not acknowledging any of this because there's a war now. There is a complete shift in the focus of society, and people have just fucking ate it up like a slice of cake. And you know what? It pisses me off. I'm not gonna fucking mince my words here. I'm already swearing like a sailor. So, you know, let's just fucking keep it going, because I'm starting to get a bit annoyed with it. As if I wasn't already annoyed. I mean, what the hell is going on? The narrative change. It's just diverted the attention away, hasn't it? From any evidence, any proof that is there, by the way, that all of this stuff that's happened over the last couple of years, all of the oppression, all of the theft of your sovereignty, the theft of your human rights, and I make fucking no mistake when I say the theft of, because they have stolen it from you. When somebody tells you a lie, you then believe the lie, and based on that lie, you do as you're told, which is give away your freedom and your rights. Well, then it's fucking theft. You know, bit of a pothole there. Yeah, that's fucking theft, mate. Yeah? And it's as simple as that. These people have stolen your rights. And, you know, that's just not how you play cricket, bruv. You know? This is England. I'm sure that the people are supposed to be a bit more clued up than this. I mean, just globally. Wow. But anyway, you know, remember, this is the media. This is the same media that forced you to believe, you know, all of the craziness when the world was still, you know, the world was still turning. Society was still, you know, on the grindstone. Things were still happening. You know, industry was still maintaining. And yet, we were told that people were falling to their knees, dying in their millions, or at least tens or hundreds of thousands. And, you know, this was what we needed to accept our freedoms being taken away because of. Now, that's not why I started this video here. The reason why I started this video is because recently you've probably seen on the internet a video circulating of Mr. Joseph Biden speaking about the New World Order. You know, that's what he said. Now, I've been privy, just like many of you have, to the notion of the New World Order and what it could possibly mean for society. Nothing good for us, by the way. For many, many years now. Many years, at least 2 decades. So, you know, back in 1987, Reagan was talking about an outside alien force. Well, that's later on. We'll get to that. George Bush Sr., he was talking about the New World Order, wasn't he? Many people have spoken about the New World Order. If you look up prime ministers or presidents that have referenced, you know, globally as well, not just England and America, that have referenced the New World Order in their speeches, I'm sure you will find many references to it. Because they all talk about it. They all fucking like to go on about this New World Order stuff. It's just like on the, is it the World Economic Forum's website? It basically says, by 2030 you will own nothing and be happy. These people put it in your face. They've got to. We've covered these issues before, or the potential reasons as to why they have to put it in your face and tell you about it. Because then it's your fault that it's happening. This is abusive. This is an abusive relationship. I said this nearly 2 years ago now, that we are living in an abusive relationship. It's like Stockholm Syndrome all mixed into one. We've learned to love and trust our captors, and they are telling us that without them we are nothing. We need to fear the world without them in it. You know, that we're nothing. I mean, come on. These people blame you and I for their misgivings. They tell you that it's your fault that they're having to raise the taxes. It's your fault that they're having to make your life a misery. That's what they tell you on a daily basis, which is abuse. But yet at the same time, hypocritically enough, they make abusive relationships criminal. And you now, you know, you can go to jail for being abusive to someone, and rightly so. So why aren't these people going to jail? You know, why aren't these people having to account or be held accountable for their actions and for their abuse, man? You know, let's not say it in any other way than what it actually is. It's abuse. It's disgusting is what it is. I'm fucking fed up of it. But anyway, old fucking Billy Goat Biden, he's talking about the New World Order now. I was waiting for it. I was really waiting for it. Because he says that the times are shifting and there's going to be a new world order out there and we've got to lead it. That's what he says. And he says that he wants to bring in all of the free nations of the world. Well, let me tell you this. Once you've been brought into the New World Order, you're no longer a free nation. Or at least not even in the elusive sense, you know, illusory sense. Because we've all got the illusion of freedom now, haven't we? Even though we're not free. I think it's about time we all got wise to the fact that we have been born into a system of slavery, and what they want is to have us ask for it now. They're fed up of trying to fucking hide it. They're fed up of the hard work that it takes to basically create this world without us being willing participants. They just want us to fucking bend our knees willingly now and say, yes, master. They want us to beg for it. Now, for instance, look at what's going on Because I'm trying to paint a picture here of how this is an abusive world, and we're all living under the cosh of an abusive master. All right? Look at what's going on with all the fuel stuff at the minute. Now, and the global warming stuff. They're telling you that it's your fault that the global warming is happening. They're telling you it's your fault that the damage to environment is a thing. You know, you're the reason, because you've been driving around in petrol cars. You know, you've been flying around and enjoying the spoils of modern society and going on holiday. Flying around in planes that use jet fuel. Yeah, it's your fault. They show you fucking pictures, don't they? On these adverts, on TV, of trains going down the train tracks and all of these fumes coming out the fucking exhaust pipe, the chimney thing. Cars driving down the motorway with fucking fumes coming out the exhaust pipes. Planes, the same thing. You know, alluding to the fact that everybody that's enjoyed society, everybody that's enjoyed the things that modern society brings, which is commuting, you know, to and from wherever it is they're going on holiday, anything that you do. You know, they like to show you doing these things. You know, it's all the things that we do, that we use. You know, the transportation methods that we use on a daily basis. Alluding to the fact that it's our fault because we get on the fucking train, you know, and pay extortionate amounts of money for a fucking ticket to get from point A to point B. You know, I mean, so and just on that fucking fact, you can spend 30 quid to get from point A to point B, but if you want to sit in the next carriage along, you've got to pay 130 for a bit more leg room. Oh, I know. Fucking hell. So you're paying extortionate amounts of money to travel from point A to point B. That's your fault, by the way, because whatever it is you're doing is creating pollution. You know, the fucking cows are farting in the fields. That's your fault too, because you eat meat. Therefore, you know, you've got to go vegan. Yeah. So what they're going to do? Kill all the fucking cows because no one's eating the buggers. Jesus Christ. Oh, I know. Let's make another species extinct. Because they're farting. Even ants fart, I'm sure. They eat stuff, don't they? They've got to digest the food. I wonder what, just on that, I wonder what an ant fart sounds like. In fact, I wonder what it smells like. I mean, let's be real here. What does it go like this? Wonder if they fart in the ant hive, like in the ant's nest. Because it's like all connected and it's underground. Do all the other ants, does it filter through the whole thing? And all the other ants are like, fucking hell, is that Dave again? Is he been eating aspartame again? Because let me tell you, that doesn't agree with his digestive tract. I've been telling him to stay off the fake stuff. He just never listens. Problem child, 1 of 10 million. Anyway, whoo. Where was I? Yeah, so they're making it out that it's your fault that all of this stuff's happening. But I ask you this, which is abuse, by the way, because it's their fault. Have you profited from selling gas, coal and oil? Have you buggered? No, you haven't. You haven't. Have you seen a single penny from the sale of oil? No, I dare say you haven't, sir. You know? So these people, what they ought to show, instead of these fucking adverts on TV of everything that we do, making us feel guilty for going to fucking work because we've got to. Perhaps some people can't afford to tax and run a car, so they've got to use the fucking train. You know, pushing the guilt down on society once again. But you know, maybe they shouldn't show that. Perhaps they ought to show these fucking rich people sat around a fucking table, rubbing their little greasy hands together, making all the money off the actual stuff that's being used in these things, that people have been forced to use, no less. Because I guarantee you, I mean, and there is free energy out there. There's been free energy, free renewable energy for over a century, since at least Nikola Tesla's time, and I dare say before that. You know, if you look at the hieroglyphs on these ancient Egyptian temples, before then, even stuff from before then, you've got to say, well, did they have any hieroglyphs of oil rigs? No, they didn't. They had technology that wasn't fucking based on fossil fuels. They were quite obviously a fucking civilization, a high civilization that had technology. You know, I mean, for crying out loud. I mean, some say that fossil fuels are renewable, that they just keep renewing it within the earth. I mean, who knows about that? But they say the main scuttlebutt is that it's not. So you're telling me that they would have left any? These high civilizations. I mean, this is all speculation, I mean, nonetheless. Digressing again. But anyway, there wouldn't be any left, would there? So there must have been, on that notion, there must have been something else. It's a bit of a flimsy argument, but you know. What I'm saying is, there's been renewable energy for over a century. This is fact. Think about hydrogen. The amount of energy in hydrogen. They make a fucking bomb out of this stuff. You don't see fucking massive canisters of the stuff, do you know? They can fit the payload of hydrogen in order to fucking decimate a whole country in a very small container. You know, a rocket, basically. It's not lugging fucking petrol containers behind it, is it? No. Fucking big rigs of petrol. No. It's a small amount of fuel for a large payload. This is hydrogen. Now, what is hydrogen? Well, it's in water, isn't it? H2O. Hydrogen and oxygen. So, if you can, as a scientist, which they obviously can since they've identified the, you know, what's in water, they must have been able to separate it to some degree. So, and obviously since they've made a hydrogen bomb, they haven't made a water bomb, have they? No, hydrogen. So ultimately, you think about that. You could make a fucking, and people go, oh no, well no, you can make a bomb out of hydrogen. You can't put that in a car because it's so dangerous. But what about fucking petrol? What do you think petrol is? You make a petrol bomb, don't you? Christ, it's just as dangerous. It's an incendiary. It still blows up if you fucking set a match to it. Fucking hell. So come on. You know, the Russians have been making bombs with petrol for, well, probably about the same amount of time there's been free energy. You know, ever heard of a Molotov? So, I love that cocktail. Goes down a tree. Goes up a tree. But anyway, that was a joke. You know, the point I'm making is there's been, if not renewable, there has been sustainable, low pollution energy that wouldn't have created the problems that we have in society with the environment should we have been offered it. Now, if you want to accept that these things have been out there, which they have been for over a century, that means somebody made the decision not to use that and to use gas, coal and oil instead. And I dare say if you got to the bottom of that, you would find it's down to the profit margins. They can't fucking make money, or as much money, on a car that's powered by water. They can't do that, can they? Because the amount of energy you get from a cup of water would be far fucking in magnitude of that which you get in a cup of petrol. So, you get less for your money, which means you got to buy more. Simple as that. So they said, no, we can, and the system that we're in, which is capitalism, is used to cripple you. Hence the fucking petrol prices going up now. They've got to buckle the system. So that's the system, that's the methods they're using. But they chose to use this because it basically it's part of their plan. It basically allows them to fulfill their plan better, more efficiently. It serves them better to have you on your bastard knees. Now, these people, they borrow money from the world banks and they've got to fucking pay it back with interest, just like any bank loan. So that means they've got to tax you to get their money back so they can pay the fucking bank off. Because if they borrow 10 million, which, you know, is fucking, they borrow more than that, but just as a figure, if they borrow let's just say 10 bill, they borrow 10 billion, they got to pay 15 back. So that means they've got to earn 15 billion before they can pay off their debt. And they've already spent the 10 billion. So ultimately, they spend the 10 billion, now they've got to pay 15 back. So that's like 25 billion now that they need to earn in order to, you know, to get level. So when you look at it like that, they've got to tax you through the nose to get their money back. That's you know, they need to create inflation, all of these things. So you're paying more because they can now earn more. So when you look at it like this, you can see then that when fucking fuel prices go up through the roof, it's all by design. Now, you're going to question that. You're going to question that if you are thinking logically. So what do they need to do? They need to create a situation that gets rid of your logic. All right, that's what they need to do. They need to create a situation that stops you from thinking logically. And what types of situations are they? Well, the types of situations that they are... One second. These fucking parking sensors are going crazy today. Anyway, they need to create a situation that stops you from thinking logically. So you bypass the logic in your brain and you don't question what's in front of you. You just do it mindlessly. Well, what do they need to do in order to get that situation? Well, they need to create a situation of panic or fear, because that bypasses the logic in the brain. That's a fact. That is fucking psychology. All right? What's been going on over the past 2 years, guys? What's been going on since 9/11? What's been going on for hundreds of years? The cycle, the ongoing cycle of these people creating fear and panic in society so that you bypass your logic and don't question what's going on, so that then they can plant information in your subliminal brain, in your subconscious brain, so you act in a certain way without knowing it. So you accept the overbearing, abusive power of your captor without even questioning it. You see that as normal because they've told you in a state of panic. They've brainwashed you in a state of panic, fear-based mind control, to do so. And you don't question it because it's brainwashing. Well, how could you? It's programming. It's a bit like asking a fucking Xbox not to play Xbox games. That's all it knows how to do. You stick a PlayStation disc in there, it's not going to play the fucker, is it? No, it's not. I use that analogy quite often because it's very simple. It knows how to do what it does. You know, it's not going to fucking just you're not going to wake up one morning, you've got a fucking PlayStation there. No, it's an Xbox because it's been programmed that way. It's the same thing. It does the same fucking task. It plays a disc and you play a game on it. But it's been programmed one way and the other thing's been programmed the other way. And that's where we are in society. You've been programmed to believe, to accept the rules, the illogical fucking rules of your captors. And they've been doing this for hundreds and if not thousands of years. And people fall for it, man. Because it's all they've ever known. But it's time that we broke out of that. It's time now that we fucking break out of that. And that we realise that that's where we are. Because it's taking the piss. Quite simply. It's taking the fucking piss. Why now are we suffering what we're suffering when for the past 2 years we've been suffering something else. If you want to usher in a great reset, if you want to usher in, and make no mistake, a great reset means just that, a great reset. If you're, let's just use the computer game analogy once again. If you want to reset, remember back in the old days with the consoles, you put the cartridge in, you pressed a button, what happened when it was reset? It wiped everything, the game was over, and it doesn't matter where you were in that game. You might have been on the last level, just about to fight the last boss, but you press the reset button and it fucking restarts. It wipes out all of that and it goes back to the beginning. How did that make you feel? You felt like shit, you had to start again with nothing. No extra lives. You know, if you were playing Sonic, you had no rings. You know, if you're playing Mario, you had no coins. All right. Basically, no valuables is what I'm saying. Everything that you collected is now gone. That's what the Great Reset is. It's simple. They want to bring this in. This is what they're telling you they're doing. But how can they get you to accept that? Because it's illogical, isn't it? It's illogical to say, okay, let's just fucking wipe everything. Because people like it. People like their lives. And why shouldn't they? It's what they've been used to. But if you want to fucking, if you want to do something, you want to get the people to actually ask for it, well, you've got to bypass their logical brain. And how do you do that again? You create a fucking fear panic reaction in the fucking society. This is what I've been saying since the start of the fucking virus stuff. It's about creating fear panic so that they can get you to do things that are illogical. Like walking into a building, putting on a fucking face mask, walking 10 paces, sitting down and taking it off, and doing the same in return when you leave. And you think that's safety. That's illogical. That isn't a logical thing to do. However, people are doing it. You've got to ask why. How is it that these people, these educated people, otherwise, you know, in other fucking walks of life, extremely logical, but why is it when faced with this situation, they are acting in such an illogical way? Well, it's because they've been put under fear with regards to that situation and been told then to do this in order to not feel afraid. It makes no sense, but you see, the need to do that has been placed in there under a fear panic scenario. So their logical brain has been bypassed and it's been put there in the back in the subconscious. So now they just do it. They don't question it. It bypasses the logical brain. If they were able to bring that to the fore, look at themselves do it and run it through the logic filter, they would say, why am I doing this? But you see, because it's now programming, that would therefore start to break the programming. And what happens if you start to break the programming on anything? It starts to go into fucking, you know, shutdown mode. It goes like a fucking robot that starts to short circuit. And people don't want that. People don't want that physical manifestation, the pain that comes with realizing, holy shit, what am I doing here? It's a panic. Then you get the panic for yourself. You go, holy fuck, what am I doing? People don't want that. They'd rather just go easy with it. And you see, this is what's creating the problems in the world. Remember, every single person's got a television. Almost every single person's got a television in their fucking house, telling them what to do, telling them what to believe. Everywhere you go, look at it. The world is just one big fucking propaganda machine. There's a few things you need to fucking ask in life. Where do you get your information from? And who owns the places or the companies that give you that information? Who are these people and what are their motives? And ask yourselves those questions, man. And on that note, but in fact, I'm going to finish with this. Not all is lost. People, I said this to somebody yesterday. We can end this if we stand together. And I got the exact same answer that I always get, which is, yeah, well, not many people, not everybody's willing to stand next to each other. You know, not enough people are willing to stand together. And I said, yeah, that's the truth. That is the truth. That is the problem. But if I stand next to the person, if I stand with the person next to me, all they've got to do is stand with the person next to them. And then they've got to stand with the person next to them. And before you know it, everybody's standing together. So it takes you to stand with the person next to you. That's all it takes. It's not about waiting for the world to stand up so that you can. Because that's never going to happen. That's a self-perpetuating cycle of fucking, like, letting yourself down. You're basically letting yourself in to be disappointed. Because it's the programming once again. Logically, all you've got to do is stand with the person next to you. And they will go, well, okay, well, they've stood, haven't they? They've stood next to me, so I'm going to stand next to them. It's like a Mexican wave. You know, there is so much fucking mumbo-jumbo flying around out there with these new age fucking groups that are trying to push all of this fucking living, love and light and stuff. And I agree with that. I've said this before. I do agree with that. But we get a chance to live in love and light once we've fucking fought for it. Once you've stood for it, be the fucking change. The one thing I do believe in from all of those circles is be the change you want to see. If you want people to stand up, then bloody stand up. It's as simple as that. If you want to, you know, stop saying, well, you know, letting yourself off the hook and saying, well, nobody else is standing up, so I'm not going to bother. How about you have the courage to stand up on your own with somebody else? And before you know it, you will see how things change. It might not be in your lifetime. Oh, that's a shame. Well, there's no point. But let me tell you, there's every fucking point. Because what are your kids going to grow up into? What are their kids going to grow up into? You know, have some courage and have a thought for what it is you're leaving behind. Because we're just the caretakers of this planet. And how the hell is it going to survive? How is anything going to survive if we don't teach those that are coming up beneath us, that are going to inherit the world after us, how to actually be? But it starts with you right now. So don't give me no crap about, oh, well, there ain't enough people willing to stand up. You stand up. Stand up and stand next to the person, stand with the person next to you and see what happens. Just see what happens, man. And before you know it, the world's changed. We've taken the power back. That's all it takes. Now, this is Cragcore. I'm signing off here. On that positive note, I'm signing off. I'm going to thank you all for being with me. I've extremely enjoyed, once again, getting back to the old YouTube videos. Like I said, it's been a while, but a lot's been going off, and I've needed to process it. I've just had to take a step back and look at the situation and process it before I came back on and spoke about it, because sometimes you just got to do that, haven't you? So, you know, I'm going to be back on here talking about a lot of things, because there's a lot of things to talk about now. I've taken a minute. But if you like the content, subscribe to the channel. Please feel free to click like and do all of that cool YouTube stuff. This is Cragcore. C-R-A-G to the C-O-R-E. Cragcore. Yes, thank you very much for being here. Thank you for watching this video. If you've gotten this far, I hope you've enjoyed the content. Love and peace to all things everywhere. And as usual, peace on earth.